Alright, listen up, all shinobi squads and Anbu operators. We're dealing with a serious shift in the field. Chapter 22 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex throws us right into the heart of a tactical storm. Jura has fully engaged with calculated precision, and his moves aren't just brute force, they're methodical, devoid of emotion, and strategic. On the other side, Boruto pushes boundaries with the Rasengan Uzuhiko, a jutsu that bends the very nature of energy and force. This one-on-one clash goes beyond the physical. This will be a clash of wills, tactics, and philosophies. The situation's cooking up real fast, so grab your kunai. Here's the intel on Chapter 22. With Jura's cold precision now fully in motion, the battlefield shifts dramatically. This will be a full-scale confrontation between him and Boruto. Let's break down the key events of Chapter 22, from Jura's calculated arrival to a twist at the end that changes how this shinobi game must now be played. Jura arrives on the battlefield by Claw Grime belt mark. He appears suddenly before Mitsuki and Araya. He deliberately ignores the others because Boruto is his highest priority. The Thorn Soul bulbs can wait. Jura's mission is clear. Capture Boruto, interrogate him about his link to a certain accomplice feeding intel on the bulbs, and then terminate him without hesitation. From a distance, Jura attempted a crack shot snipe using a tailed beast bomb in the shape of a bullet-like attack aimed to take Boruto out from afar, but the shot missed. Now, there's no choice but to go full-on flight, like Bizarro Superman, and turn this into a deadly close combat fight. In the chaos of that critical moment, Boruto issued a decisive order. Komaharu was to retreat immediately with the Thorn Soul Bulb and make for the original rendezvous point where he originally met with the Sand Shinobi. Time was a luxury they could not afford. Jura descended with terrifying speed and unleashed a Tailed Beast Bomb that roared through the sky like a chakra-forged cruise missile. With no room for hesitation, Boruto grabbed Komaharu and hurled him from away the blast radius. It was a split-second decision that spoke volumes of leadership under fire. While the battle unfolded on the surface, another critical observation took place behind the scenes. Kashin Koji and Eida briefly assessed the battlefield. Boruto's Flying Thunder God technique was the main discussion. To Eida, it was obvious. Why not teleport away and escape? Koji clarified the deeper mechanics. Long-range teleportation isn't instantaneous. It requires concentration, timing, precision. More importantly, Boruto wasn't trying to escape. This wasn't a retreat, it was a calculated defiance. Boruto fully understood the risks of engaging Jura, but he also understood what was at stake. He needed to buy time. Time for Komaharu to escape. Time to secure the Thorn Soul bulbs, a high-valued asset that could change the tide of the battle. So Boruto stood his ground, not to win, but to survive just long enough to shift the outcome. He inherited his grandfather's instinct to adapt within the battlefield. He takes after his father as his own unpredictable ninja. Believe it! In that moment, Boruto wasn't just resisting Jura, he was defying the singularity of fate. Just like an operator in Warzone, Jura hardscopes smaller Biju shots. Boruto is too fast and responds with consecutive Rasengan hits. Jura has an incredible poker face since he's not showing signs of fatigue and no obvious visual damage. Boruto found himself face to face with Jura in a moment of eerie stillness that's reminiscent of a spaghetti western face-off. Boruto must use his Rasengan Uzuhiko. The downside is he must stand still to charge it. Jura unleashes his Mogaton wood release, so Boruto is not being given any charging time for his ultimate jutsu. Despite Boruto's boldness of power, Jura's overwhelming strength and precision prove inevitable. Boruto would get knocked off balance. The massive tree vines and the branches burst forth from the ground and successfully coiled around Boruto. Beneath the tension, something deeper stirred with Jura. What is love? Is love weakness? Entrapped and momentarily still, Boruto's eyes locked onto the sword Jura drew from the ground that was his memento from his master Sasuke. At that point, the battlefield wasn't just terrain. It became a life-threatening game of poker. Call or fold. Every move and every glance was loaded with intent. Despite Jura being a tree, he moved like a machine. Cold, exact, unshakable, and curiously befuddled by the concept of love. Boruto, on the other hand, adapted while immobilized to charge up his ultimate attack. With no time to waste, channeling his grandfather's legacy through the Flying Thunder God and fusing it with his own evolution, Boruto launched a devastating high-speed combo, the Rasengan Uzuhiko, a jutsu that bends the very fabric of energy and motion, distorting chakra flow itself. From defense to counter-offense, this screams louder than words that he will not die here today. While Jura felt the side effects, it was deemed as ineffective. The Rasengan Uzuhiko failed. Jura withstood its full force with incomprehensible endurance. We could theorize that Jura functions as a living anchor, possibly drawing on unfiltered nature energy, making chakra-based propulsion ineffective. So let's take a moment to break down how Jura may have countered Boruto's Rasengan Uzuhiko, using real-world science as our guide. I call this segment Anbu Tactical Science Memo, Rasengan Uzuhiko Analysis. So first of all, what is Rasengan Uzuhiko in practical terms? Think of it like this. Uzuhiko is a chakra-based vortex engine. It doesn't just hit, it spins. It creates a rotational force that disrupts the opponent's internal chakra network, like a gyroscope spinning inside the body even after impact. Imagine standing in the eye of a tornado made of chakra. That's the effect Uzuhiko aims for. And furthermore, it functions on the principle akin to angular momentum and rotational kinetic energy. But rather than simply channeling chakra into a vortex, it continues spinning indefinitely, possibly linked to planetary rotation itself. And so this aligns it conceptually with the Coriolis effect, where Earth's spin alters trajectories of objects over time. In Boruto's case, Uzuhiko isn't just a blast, it's a gravitationally sustained feedback loop that escalates over time rather than decays. Now here's where Jura cancels it. Jura's body acts like a natural grounding system, much like how a lightning rod channels electrical energy safely into the earth. When Rasengan Uzuhiko strikes him, the rotational energy doesn't spiral out of control. Instead, it's absorbed and diffused through his tree-based physiology. And so, why does this matter? In the real world, trees are masters of energy regulation. Their roots ground them deep into the earth. They absorb sunlight, carbon dioxide, water, and minerals, and redirect energy with almost zero waste. Jura, as a defined tree-like entity, likely operates on the same principle, grounding kinetic chakra energy like a living capacitor. If Jura taps into natural energy akin or similar to Sage Mode, then he isn't relying solely on internal chakra. That gives him a major edge. Chakra-based attacks like Uzuhiko create turbulence in chakra systems. If Jura operates on nature's energy or planetary synchronization, Uzuhiko's force is like trying to stir the ocean with a spoon. It's also possible that Jura has his own internal black hole event horizon that would snare and compress any gravitational effect. In short, Boruto unleashed a powerful chakra vortex, but Jura is grounded. He's the anchor. You can't spin the Earth off its axis with one single storm. So while Uzuhiko is revolutionary, Jura's unique biology, energy source, and metaphysical grounding allows him to endure it without faltering. Boruto brought speed and ingenuity. Jura has home field advantage in a certain way. As a working hypothesis, Jura has created a form of planetary grounding, or a biosynchronicity that cancels Uzuhiko's effect. We'll look to future chapters to expand on this fascinating concept. And now for the path ahead. Chapter 23, Expectations. Chapter 23 is poised to turn the tide or to end the match. Boruto just unloaded one of his most advanced Jutsu combinations and it failed to stop Jura. This raises one critical question. How do you stop something that's rooted in the planet itself? At this point, the next moves are going to require more than raw power. Boruto will need to pivot his strategy, possibly even deception, to outmaneuver Jura's biological advantage. Expect Chapter 23 to push Boruto deeper into an S-rank level of innovation. Flying Thunder God and Uzuhiko weren't enough. So what's next? Could Boruto lure Jura into a location where his planetary synchronicity is disrupted? Will there be reinforcements? If so, by whom? Possible Leaf or Sand Ninjas inbound? Possibly Kawaki entering the battlefield with his limiters removed. Can we still assume that Yodo is deceased and not a mystery boss fight as a Divine Tree clone? Can the Thorn Soul bulbs remain secured so that Moegi and Shinki can be freed from their Divine Tree imprisonment? Either way, the tempo will shift, whether it's a tactical retreat or another combat escalation. Are we reaching the midpoint of this arc? Or have we only just begun in this rising action? In this battle, chakra isn't the only weapon. Knowledge, memory, and innovation now shape the battlefields. 2 Blue Vortex is just as tactical as the old Naruto era, and perhaps something deeper that requires an evolution of strategy. Bruce Lee once said, "Be like water, my friend." Boruto embodies this because he flows with the shape of the battlefield. He adapts with the highest efficiency, and bends the rules that defy that dreaded singularity of fate. Sun Tzu reminds us, in The Art of War, in the midst of chaos, there's also opportunity. With Jura's cold precision, forces our heroes to find openings in the storm. As Robert Greene states in Law 29 of the 48 Laws of Power, plan all the way to the end. Every move in this fight carries a calculated risk with devastating consequences. The game board is set. The pieces are in place. Stay sharp, Shinobi squads and Anbu operators. The next intel drop will be critical for Chapter 23.